Here we go.
From high above the treetops in the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, it is the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com. I, of course, am the real Brad Bell, and joining me today, as usual, is
Jerry Reed, also known as Barbecue 17.
And, of course,
Andrew Stokes, also known as Andrew Stokes.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for click and play. Thanks for downloading us on iTunes. We're going to get this started today, guys. We're going to review Matt Reeves' Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I'm sure I'm going to get that title confused
I've been
like five
confused
times
the last couple days, yeah.
So we're going to start out with what we usually do, what we've been checking out this week.
Check checklist? Check. Double checking of checklist? Check.
So, Barbecue 17, what have you been checking out this week?
Oh, man. Well, I've been caught up in quite a bit of Turtle Mania.
Turtle Mania?
Yeah, Turtle Mania, just getting excited about the new movie coming out. And so, like I said, I've been, like last week on the podcast, we drank some of the Turtle Soda. I've been eating Turtle Gushers. I found some of the movie figures this week. I'm kind of mixed on them. I got Shredder. I'm not really feeling them. They just don't have really good paintwork or anything, but I got the Raphael in the trench coat, Raph in disguise. But I did my favorite Turtles thing yesterday, probably in a while.
Was that running around in your Turtles pajamas?
Yeah.
And yelling Cowabunga?
No, that was my favorite thing prior to this. But we went to Build-A-Bear. We took my little daughter to Build-A-Bear, and so we took little Adora to Build-A-Bear. And we built a Raphael. They have the Nicktoons or the Nick Turtles there, and they're really cool. And so it's about $25. But we took her there and we picked out Raphael. And I mean, she's really too young to have picked Raphael, but she has a stuffed bunny that's red, so she really gravitates towards red things. And Raphael's my favorite turtle, so we grabbed Raphael and we stuffed him and. She really just had a blast. I mean, she just really was laughing the whole time and in a great mood for it. They're really cool. They're just really neat to see how many people were coming here building these turtles all over the store. We saw people carrying them around. And you could buy, some people were actually dressing the turtles up, I looked for a trench coat.
Yeah.
I looked for a trench coat and a hat. But I did buy the size for Raphael. They kind of clip over his hands.
That's where Build-A-Bear gets you. Those
accessories. All the accessories. Well, it was kind of cool. They had a Shredder costume.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So they didn't have a Shredder doll, but I guess if you built a teddy bear or whatever, you could have dressed it up as the Shredder. So,
That's cool.
So we went to Build-A-Bear.
Was there a Splinter?
No, there was just the 4 turtles and Shredder. But it was really neat, and we just had a lot of fun there, and I mean, they all were wearing Ninja Turtles T-shirts at Build-A-Bear, and
was it like a special promotion that day, or?
They just came out Friday, so
okay.
This is the 13th. This is Sunday the 13th. They came out Friday the 11th.
Well,
okay.
Turtle Mania is about to hit big time.
Yeah.
Big
I'm
time.
just gonna say I called this before it happened. I said
did
this
you?
a while back. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to come out. It's going to do okay. It's going to do pretty good. I think people like us, film geeks, are going to love it. But I think Turtles is going to be huge that next weekend.
Definitely Turtles.
I don't think it's going to be the better movie.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to
have a huge opening weekend. I'm just really interested to see how it fares throughout August.
Yeah,
because I could see Guardians maybe doing kind of a slow, slow and steady. Yeah,
a little bit. All right, so you've been checking out Turtles, as always. We're always checking out Ninja Turtles. We love those green guys. What about you, Andrew Stokes?
I've been checking out this cartoon called Young Justice.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. What have I been checking out? Well, I'm doing my never-ending quest of checking out things that are no longer relevant. So I've been playing Trials of Evolution recently. I picked it up as part of the Xbox Live summer sale. It's a fun game.
Yeah, we were playing some multiplayer a few minutes ago. It reminds me of the old Sight Bike.
Right, yeah. It's a 2D side-scroll, like dirt bike. I won't call it a puzzle game, but like some of the later levels are really challenging, and sometimes you gotta time your jumps. And
very physics-based.
Yeah, parts of the track themselves are moving. You have to wait for them to shoot you up a certain spot. And there's hidden collectibles. It's a fun game. That, and I've been checking out, I've got World Cup fever, so I'm watching a lot of soccer, even though the U.S. is out now. Been watching a lot of that. So, it's basically...
Well, I want to comment on something you've been checking out that you didn't bring up, that you got me to check out.
Well, I will say this. I don't think this is the same thing.
Okay.
But I did just finish, finally, all 5 of the Game of Thrones books. So,
and now you're miserable until the next one comes out.
There's like 3 or 4 sample chapters for book 6, which have already been released either on George R. R. Martin's website or other various means. I'm kind of like waiting to read those. I'm going to read them maybe once a month or something. But I'm excited.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to say, I think.
I don't know.
The WWE Network.
Well, I've been checking that out for a while. You've been checking that out now.
No, I hadn't actually. Andrew got the WWE Network, and we've been
for WrestleMania.
He got it for WrestleMania. He's been watching all the pay-per-views. I came over 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
Money
ago.
in the Bank.
We watched Money in the Bank. And you can't beat this if you're a wrestling fan, because it's all the pay-per-views in HD for $10 a month.
Yep.
And in case you didn't know, if you order one of these, well, you can't order them through DirecTV because WWE and DirecTV had a falling out. But back when I would order them on...
They're having a feud.
Yeah, feud. And not a good one. Now, back before... I used to order them on DirecTV. I'd order 1 or 2 a year, like WrestleMania or if they had a Hell in a Cell match. It was $60 a pay-per-view. Now I can get a year's worth of pay-per-views for the price of 2 pay-per-views in HD. There's this whole back catalog of all these old WCW, ECW, WWF, classic pay-per-views. They don't have Nitros or Raws on there. But it's just, it's cool. It's a lot of bang for your buck. And it's a lot of fun. And it's got Jerry into wrestling a little bit. Jerry, what do you have to your left right now?
I have the Mattel Elite Bray Wyatt action figure. So watching WrestleMania with Andrew, I really kind of dig the Wyatt family. They sort of have
they're one of the big, very popular.
Yeah, and I mean they have they kind of have a cool gimmick to them, and they kind of remind me of some of the older, crazy sort of '80s personalities, and they kind of have a horror vibe, and I'm digging that. So sort of this backwoods.
I definitely feel like I used to be big into wrestling back in the day. I feel like it's getting better now. I think they're starting to finally. It's a weird thing right now because it used to be, you have these really hardcore wrestling fans, and it's because of the internet nowadays. Like Evan, yeah. But because of the internet nowadays, it's like everyone's almost a hardcore wrestling fan. I know all these things about the business I never knew before, and I don't even frequent the sites that much. I just kind of read about it every once in a while, and it's like the fans are really kind of rooting for who they want to root for, and they're rooting. Sometimes they don't even they're not rooting for people in particular. They're rooting for matches in general and stuff, and just good performances. It's really changed, and I think it's changing the product for the better. So
Evan is a huge wrestling fan, and he's never quit watching wrestling since about 6th grade.
Yeah,
and he thinks that this is the best the product has been since Monday Night Wars, since the Attitude Era.
They're calling some people are calling it the reality era now because there's all this there's Legends House and Total Divas, these reality shows, and just on TV in general. So
there's only one thing that's keeping me from fully embracing this, and I'll phase in and out of wrestling from time to time, but I'm somebody who there has to be 1 or 2 flagship superstars to get me really interested, and
that's what got me back interested with CM Punk.
Yeah, and the reality era, if you want to call it, had that with Punk, and then Daniel Bryan got the big push, right? But now Punk's gone. Daniel Bryan's injured after winning the championship at WrestleMania. So I feel like as much as I want to embrace the product and I have this wrestling itch I want to scratch, I just can't fully do it. But Shield,
and it's
loving that push.
They were real. I wish you had gotten into it a little bit sooner because they were so cool when they were a group.
Yeah, and I watched it off and on, but not like you did.
And I think that's what's kind of helping them. They split up now and they're individual wrestlers, and I think it's what helping their story. There's obviously the fallout of that, but then there's just they were all so popular, and now they're popular individual as well. And Roman Reigns is right in there with the title hunt, so he's somebody to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if he could somehow win the championship this next, because there's rumored after Battlegrounds in about a week that the whoever's a champion after that is going to be fighting Brock Lesnar come SummerSlam. Man, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It might be a little too early for Roman Reigns to be the champion, but I mean...
I think with Bryan getting hurt, he's getting the push earlier than he would have, is what everybody's saying. And there's also a massive rumor that tomorrow that Sting, former WCW legend, the Stinger, may appear on Raw, and that's been a rumor that he's coming back.
That's been a rumor for
years. But he tweeted 7/14/14, which is Monday's date. But so did Psycho Sid, so we don't know. Some people think it's a rumor there's going to be the last 2 WWE games. Last year was the WrestleMania moments. The year before was the Attitude Era. Yeah. So a lot of people think this will be a WCW storyline in this.
Yeah, because there's a lot of they just announced a cover athlete
Who
a
is
week
it?
ago. John Cena, of course.
Okay.
They announced that like a week or two ago.
Yeah, I mean, John Cena. Can't say nothing about that guy. I mean, he loves the business. He's a great guy.
I really like John Cena, and I root for him a lot, even though a lot of hardcore wrestling fans hate that. Because he just kind of represents the whole PG era and stuff.
I don't hate him.
Some people don't like... They say he's not that good in the ring and stuff, which, I mean, I don't think he's the best in the ring, but... His matches do typically run a certain way. So when he gets beat up,
I think he's kind of boring.
He's the Hulk Hogan of this generation.
He is, but not necessarily in a good way. Yeah. Like Hulk Hogan nowadays wouldn't be as interesting of a guy because his matches are kind of the same thing. He gets beat up, he hulks up, and he finishes the guy with a leg drop. One of the in quotation marks greatest finishers of all time. But I like John Cena. Yeah, sarcastically, I like John Cena. Because I think he's a good guy. He loves the business. He really does love the business. He's there every day. He's not one of these like halftime kind of guys. And as much as I love CM Punk, you know what I mean, and he can do what he wants, he did just quit the business. You know what I mean? He's just like, yeah, I'm done. We're done. You know what I mean? And I don't know. But he's like the 15-time world champion or something.
Cena?
Yeah,
he's a 15-time champion now. Holy
like
crap! I've been out of wrestling.
Orton's
for a while.
up there as well. I mean, The Rock is only like a 10-time champion or something like that.
I know Ric Flair was like a 16-time champion, and that was a big deal.
That's a whole man's life.
Yeah, exactly. I just. Hopefully one day Cena, I know people have been rumoring it for years and wanted it. Maybe he'll do a heel turn one day. Maybe.
Because he's so involved with the Make-A-Wish and the kids. That
so was
really
Hulk Hogan. And that turn was historic.
But this is just on such a... It would be historic, though. If he heel turned for some reason... But right now, I feel like he's on the rise. I think the writers are doing a good job of pairing him with really popular people, and they're doing a good job.
Like the whole Wyatt thing at WrestleMania was him fighting Bray Wyatt. Was that Bray Wyatt was trying to bring out this dark side of John Cena, and you were kind of like, oh gosh, is he going to do a heel turn? You know what's going to happen? But didn't happen. Right
now, they're like pairing him with really popular guys like Roman Reigns and stuff. They're also having him feud with people who are very unpopular, like Stephanie McMahon and Triple H themselves, who are kind of unpopular because they're by the fans because they're seen to run things behind the scenes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
If it was a bit of, not the most exquisite wrestling conversation, we apologize. We're by no means expert in this
I'm
field.
expert in everything I talk about. So.
But I'm going to move on to something I've been checking out. I read a ton of comics all the time.
From the 90s and earlier.
Yeah, everything. I'm consumed by this stuff, and I just get to the point where I'm like, okay.
I've been reading this one called Family Circus. And, Kathy.
Garfield, I think it was.
It's kind of like same old.
This is some classic Garfield here.
I always read like Batman and Spider-Man, but I picked up a graphic novel called Ex Machina, and it's written by Brian K. Vaughn, and it's basically, the best way to describe this is Kick-Ass meets The West Wing. It's about this guy, his name is, I can't remember his first name, but in the book it's 100. That's the guy. He's Mayor 100.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it's a funny last name. Mitchell 100. That's his name. And basically, he's an ex-civil engineer who comes into contact with something under the Brooklyn Bridge a few years before 9/11. and he becomes this superhero known as the Great Machine. And he teams up with some buddies. They do a lot of good. And finally, he decides it's not making the difference he wants, so he starts running as an independent for the mayor of New York City. And right in the middle of his campaign, 9/11 happens. And he suits up one more time as the Great Machine and starts saving people from the second tower. And it's just powerful. I'm getting goosebumps right here just talking about it.
We can confirm. I am rubbing his arm
I mean,
right now.
seriously, it's just, I sit there, I rarely will pick up a graphic novel. And, it's not the shortest graphic novel.
That's a thick novel.
And I read it straight through at the beach. I could not put it down. I mean, it moved me, man.
He wouldn't talk to his fiancée until he finished.
No, I could
really
not. I
Leave me
had
alone.
to
I'm
finish
reading
this.
this comic
It
book.
was so good, and it's very. I mean, it was transcendent to me. And
He was also buried up to his waist in sand.
There was a kid getting attacked by a shark. He just couldn't be bothered.
The art here is by Tony Harris. It's got an introduction by Brad Meltzer, who wrote Identity Crisis. So it is something very different. There's 5 volumes. I'm going to pick up the next 4. But
wow.
it's like I have to...
So it's not a one-off comic?
No.
Okay.
It was an ongoing series for like 30, 35 issues, something like that.
Did it have a conclusive end, do you know?
Yeah, they ended it
good.
conclusively. So
I was worried there for a second.
it's just everything. I've always been interested in politics, so we have this whole politics thing. We have the superhero aspect, and I mean...
Who's borrowing that graphic novel from you next?
Y'all decide, but I'm telling you, it's a must read. If
well,
you've
Andrew
never
needs to
read
finish
it.
my copy of Hush before he...
Let's let Jerry read it.
I am still since I started Hush, I finished Game of Thrones and I'm halfway through Kite Runner. So I should probably go ahead and finish at the last 3 issues.
Yeah, it'll probably take you about 5, 10, 15 minutes.
I got through like most of them in like a week, and then Game of Thrones got so good I just didn't put it down. And
I'm about halfway through the 3rd Game of Thrones book.
Well, this Ex Machina, Brian K. Vaughn's worked on television, directed a bunch of episodes of Lost and some other shows. And I
wrote Why the Last Man. Which is a really
Why
good
the Last
good
Man.
series.
I'll tell you why.
But I would love to see this as like an HBO show or something. It would be so good, like a superhero political drama on TV. I just can't imagine seeing that. Something really
Is
different.
it more West Wing or more House of Cards?
More West Wing.
Okay.
Definitely more West Wing. All right, so that's what we've been checking out this week. Let's go ahead and get into a short but sweet edition of Epic News. Let's start Epic News with another True Detective rumor. A rumor that Colin Farrell is in talks with HBO to be one of the 3 leads for True Detective Season 2. All we really know at this point is that it's going to be about the corrupt U.S. transportation system. That's all we really know. Apparently, the U.S. transportation system is very corrupt.
This is a Chris Christie story or something?
Exactly. But Jessica Chastain had been rumored at one point. And that's only 2 names that's kind of been like staying
Brad Pitt
at the
was
top.
rumored.
He was rumored, but I think that was like a less, almost kind of like a fantasy, like wish list for True Detective people.
That's like Sting's coming to WWE.
Yeah,
level.
exactly.
There's been mention that there's going to be 3 leads this time.
Yeah, so
I've heard that as well.
what if it ended up being Chastain, Farrell, and Brad Pitt? Now that would be awesome. However, I do not see Colin Farrell being the main lead, even up to the level of Woody Harrelson in the first season of True Detective. I'm not a Colin Farrell fan. What about you guys?
I mean, I like him well enough. I don't have anything against him. He's not my favorite actor, but I've liked him in various
He's
things.
in my least favorite movie of all time,
Daredevil?
Miami Vice.
Oh.
Only movie I've ever got up and walked out 45 minutes in and said, I can't take this. What about you, Jerry? Any thoughts on Colin Farrell? He's Bullseye and Daredevil. He's pretty good on that. I didn't mind that.
I mean, I remember some of his earlier stuff that he did. I'm thinking like, Tigerland and
There was one he's
Phone
in.
Booth.
Seven Psychos or something like that. I reviewed it for the site.
There was a couple.
Good.
Maybe
He's a good
earlier.
man.
earlier in his career, I mean, he was getting a lot of praise for being a really good actor. I
like Phone Booth, yeah.
I just haven't seen him in much lately that I'm aware of.
He was in this fairy tale movie where he like time jumped around.
Frozen, I think it's called.
No, not Frozen. But I don't know. It was awful. I can't remember the name of it. It
Fairy
was
tale
forgettable.
movie.
Yeah. Where he was a man in the past that traveled to the future, and he fell in love with somebody in the future. Yeah, they say it was as bad as it sounds.
Like
Winter's Tale.
Terminator 5?
Winter's Tale
Winter's
was
Tale.
the name
I've
of
heard
it.
the name. I've heard that movie. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and actually, Will Smith played the devil in that movie. Oddly enough.
Okay, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But, it's rumors. Who knows? He may not be involved. At this point, everybody's just kind of chomping at the bit for any type of news regarding the second season. But I think fans are doing it with tempered expectations, knowing that the first season was such a work of art and it was McConaughey at his peak. I don't think I'm expecting that again, but I'm expecting something very solid like I do with all HBO dramas.
I know they said that they've got 2 scripts in for this one, for this season now, and that they're both pretty. I mean, the feedback's been that they're both pretty good, pretty exciting scripts. So,
well, one thing they're going to do different this year is last season it was Fukunaga, the director, directed all 10 episodes. This year they're saying they're going to. I believe Fukunaga was directing maybe the pilot, but then they're going to have 9 new directors. And there's a rumor that David Fincher could be one of those directors, which would be very cool.
That would be
to
really
see
cool.
David Fincher, the guy that did Seven,
that kind of
something very
sort of
much
seems to have some influence on this. Yeah,
absolutely.
Fight Club and Panic Room.
Yeah,
so
a great director. Fincher is direct the episode of True Detective. So we'll stay tuned to those rumors and try to keep you updated on the podcast. Our next news item, Jerry, is near and dear to your heart. Won't you go ahead and take it away?
Star Wars what?
All right. So, Batgirl has a new creative team that's coming out. Gail Simone has been involved with this book since the New 52 relaunch. And I think starting with issue number 35, they're doing a whole new creative team on Batgirl.
It's Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher, who I'm not familiar with. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, and who's the artist on that?
I believe Fletcher's the artist.
There's
and Stewart's the writer.
There's a female artist that's
There's a
working
female
on there.
artist? Okay, this must just be the writers. I'm on MTV News right now, and that's all I can pull up.
So, some people haven't liked the new costume. One thing, I actually really do like it. It retains the purple and yellow look that's kind of, originated in the 1966 series. But the way they've sort of pitched this book is that, over the last couple of years in the book, Barbara's had a lot of things happen to her, and a lot of really bad stuff too. And so this
She's got her legs back. What does she have to complain about?
Yeah, but they've had lots of crazy family issues. Her brother's a serial killer that's tried to kill her.
I knew she had a brother.
Did they carry that over from because that was in the Black Mirror that Scott Snyder and Jock
they
did.
carried a lot of those elements over into her series.
Is this a half brother or is this Gordon's son?
This is Gordon's son.
Oh,
wow. Anyways, they're kind of doing a new take. It sounds like they're trying to make the book a bit more fun. Then it's been a really great book. They're just trying to make it fun, give it its kind of own identity now. And so she's basically, I think she's moving on with school. She's doing that, and it sounds like she's moving to a really trendy borough of Gotham. And so kind of restarting her life again. So the way they've kind of looks like they're, some of the publicity material for the book is just, it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. It's going to be really separating the tone of Batgirl from the tone of kind of the other Bat family books. And I think that's been something that, for the most part, DC has been pretty good about doing in the New 52. But they've had a couple things, it was tough to separate. Detective Comics and Batman had their own sort of vibe to them, but they had that book, The Dark Knight. And, that book's, been canceled since then because it just never really had its own identity. Batwoman has a really distinct identity. She almost deals with, more fantasy horror elements than the regular, than Batman. Batwing kind of has his own identity. Red Hood and the Outlaws kind of has a lot of the cosmic stuff going on that just doesn't happen in the regular Batman books. Batgirl's kind of always been stuck in the middle as just sort of a, in terms of tone, it wasn't much different from Batman itself.
I love the look of the costume. It's snazzy. It's updated.
Do you have a picture of it up right now?
I do. It feels very modern. Here you go. Take a look at it, Andrew. There it is. Hopefully no pop-ups will pop up or anything. All right. But it looks like it may be too, I don't want to say girly, but you know what I mean? It kind of has that maybe teeny bop kind of look that I'm kind of worried about.
Which is kind of weird because at this point, I mean, Barbara's got to be in her I think she would be in her mid-late 20s when this book's happening, maybe a little younger.
Mid to late 20s?
I would say mid to late 20s.
Oh, that makes sense.
She's taking this image has her.
Here's the thing, though, is if this is the one where I've not looked at the image. This is the one where she's taking a selfie.
She's taking a selfie.
Okay, she's like on a subway car or something, or a trolley car, and people are around. So
no, she's in the bathroom, right?
It looks like a bathroom. Yeah.
Oh, then I'm totally looking at a different one.
No, this one's supposed to be a sub car.
It's a mirror, clearly. She's clearly looking in a mirror. That girl's putting on makeup.
Looks like
okay.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Sorry, maybe I'm thinking a different one then.
Sure.
So, anyways, I was surprised by how quick this went up there and how quick, like, suddenly on, so many people were doing their own custom art of this costume. The only thing that I do think is a little strange is that in the past 3 years' worth of a comic, basically, she really has had very high-tech outfits and stuff, and so I'm really wanting to see how they tie going back to her having, kind of the molded armor like Batman, and now having something that's basically supposed to be a leather jacket, something that's very casual.
Do you think, I mean, obviously we don't know a ton about it. This news was just announced, but they're not retconning anything.
Doesn't
as far
sound
as
like
we
they're
know.
retconning at all. Sounds like it's just a different, direction for the book. From what I've heard, there seems to be rumors that maybe Barbara has a fire, and so she loses so much of her stuff, and so it's kind of a chance for her to go on a new direction, a different part of Gotham that has a very different identity than the Gotham we typically see.
I was going to say, looking at the costume, too, it's definitely like a modern-looking costume.
Yeah.
Like, it looks fashionable, almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, and especially if she's supposed to be going to this trendy, part of Gotham, and at her age, the costume makes sense for her.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going. I'm all about in any book if they're, trying something different. And
I'm for characters in comics actually evolving as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
So,
yeah, and I thought they've done a decent job of that so far.
I just didn't want it to go back, like we're making her younger and kind of redoing some stuff, which it doesn't look like
seem
that.
at all. It's not going to be a retcon. It's going to be moving forward to just a different stage of her life.
I mean, you love Batgirl.
So huge Batgirl fan. So I'm excited. I mean, like I said, at the very least, it's going to be some new statues and action figures from DC Collectibles to pick up because they'll want to push the new outfit.
Absolutely.
And the cape snaps on with buttons too. It's kind of like a new thing as well.
Which looks cool too because if it gets caught in something, it might tear off without. That's one of the things about Batman's, like at least in the animated series, it was always if his cape got caught, his mask would rip off too. And I was like, well, that seems like a oversight. What was it? There's a new Captain America coming out too, right?
Yeah, there is, and I have not read about it because I'm currently reading that in trade, and I don't want to be spoiled. I know there's going to be a new Captain America, but I don't know any of the details. So that's why I didn't bring it up on this podcast. Do you want to say anything about it?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like I think Marvel has either already said who's going to be the new Captain, or they have like a red herring of who it's going to be because like they're doing. I don't know if it's like their summer event or what, but they're doing some sort of comic that takes place just a year in the future.
Is it Original Sin? That's their summer event, right?
I don't remember what it's called. Like I don't follow it that close. All I know is like there's a comic coming out or is already coming out. It takes place just 1 year in the future. It's supposed to be 1 year in the future of the current Marvel universe, and there is, somebody else is already Captain America. Somebody notable is dressed as Captain America on like the front cover of one of these issues that they've already released. So there could be a red herring that things aren't going to pan out that way, or they're letting us know, hey, this is who it's going to take.
As a big Cap fan, I saw this and my eyes rolled just a little bit because I just want to see Steve Rogers in the outfit because. We saw Bucky in the costume for so long, which was awesome. But, I mean, he was Cap for over a year. Bucky was. And it's like, just let the characters be the characters.
I'm with, like, from what I've understood with what Steve Rogers is doing now, I mean, I guess before he was supposed to be dead when Bucky took over, and he came back for a little while as director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he was like super soldier, Steve Rogers.
So, like, now, again, with characters evolving, I kind of like the idea of maybe Steve Rogers, his age catching up to him finally, and him being kind of like this leader tactician, almost like Professor X level guy. You know what I mean? Like, I think I like the idea of that.
I like that idea.
Nick Fury type character.
Or Nick,
but the problem is, like, they'll do this, and then a year from now, he'll be Cap again. I'm like, we're going evolving and then devolving.
Professor Xavier, the death of Professor Xavier, I think something that should be left. I think Professor Xavier at this point in, like, the whole X universe, it would be a lot better character as a martyr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's had his chance.
He currently is.
Exactly. I think they should leave it that. I think they should never. It makes so much sense for him to be a martyr. I wish they'd never bring him back to life.
But they will.
And they're the same thing. They're going with the death of Wolverine right now.
And Wolverine's coming back.
It's a whole series.
So are they canceling all the X-Men series, or you can't have X-Men
every other book? So.
I guess they'll just address it. They won't cancel it. You know, they'll reference it, and they'll be like big crossovers.
Each one will have like a new Wolverine, like somebody else trying to be Wolverine.
Probably each one of them.
Dacon or whatever.
You got to think it'll be a big selling ploy for them, because not only will they sell that miniseries Death of Wolverine that's 4 parts, but as you guys said, he's in every comic, so every comic's going to have a issue with them grappling with the death of Wolverine, and then he'll be back after Christmas. I mean, it's just the way this stuff works. But let's move on to something else that's coming back, potentially. It looks like at San Diego Comic-Con, this is pure rumor and speculation, that one of Andrew Stokes' favorite shows of all time may return to the airwaves or Netflix or somewhere.
Goosebumps?
No, Young Justice. Andrew, what do you think? Are you excited about this?
Not at all. Because I just don't want to be excited, because I don't know if it's true or not. Like, it really, like, the idea of it coming back has got me all, like, tittery inside and stuff. But it's like, it's such a rumor, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Young Justice is a comic. It's a property.
Yeah.
It could be anything. If it even has to do with Young Justice, it could be anything. And it just, in my mind, I just don't want to be excited for it, because I just don't want to be let down. It's such a good show. This show came back. My goodness. My goodness. You guys may even start watching it then.
No,
perhaps. I want to catch up. Yeah.
So busy.
Well, now's the perfect time to catch up.
I know.
It's on my list of things to do. I probably honestly won't get to it probably till next summer.
So after
at
you're
this
married,
point,
have your first child on the way.
So we haven't watched it. I know you got to be excited. If it happens, though, something you'll be stoked for. I imagine.
Super stoked. This will reach levels of stokedness.
Andrew stoked.
Yeah, and that's pretty stoked.
And obviously, this is kind of a short segment of Epic News, but next time I don't know when our next podcast to be. We'll definitely, hopefully, try to do Guardians and Ninja Turtles. But that will be post San Diego Comic-Con. So
we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about.
We may do
much to talk about.
We have to do
a
separate news podcast for that.
If you're on a diet, don't listen to this podcast, because it is supersized.
All right, so
eat it in moderation.
Let's move on from Epic News to our featured review of the week, which is Matt Reeves' Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Apes do not want war. You know the scary thing about them? They don't need power. Lights, heat, nothing. That's the advantage. That's what makes them stronger.
We both have families. You want to protect yours. I want to protect mine. It's our only chance for peace.
Are you aware? No! They are going to turn on you. They're animals!
Caesar, you're home.
Who was that?
A good man like you. Caesar love humans more than apes.
If you threaten his family, he will retaliate.
Don't shoot!
So this is the much-anticipated sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the 2011 film that kind of took audiences by surprise. And this one, James Franco did not return. We have a completely new cast. We have Jason Clarke from Zero Dark 30 fame. We have Gary Oldman in here. And, of course, we have the great mocap actor Andy Serkis returning to reprise his role as Caesar.
What your manners, precious?
So, guys, before we get into this review, let's start with you, Andrew. What do you think of the first film, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the 2011 kind of either reboot or a prequel to this franchise?
It's a I'm not Andrew.
I think it's a reboot.
It's a reboot because there's a lot of things that wouldn't have necessarily worked out if this were a true prequel.
And I've only seen the first original Planet of the Apes movie, so Andrew,
You've seen the original? You haven't seen the Burton one?
I haven't seen the Burton one. I've seen the original.
I'm not sure if I've seen the original.
It's pretty good for a 60s movie.
It's great.
Obviously, I know what it's about. I've seen scenes from it. I know I've seen the Burton one, but it's been years since I saw either one. Years and years. What was the question? The first one.
Film, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was. James Franco. I love James Franco, and basically anything he does. It was just. Excuse me. It was just. Like you said, it took everybody by surprise. You didn't know what to expect from this film, and it was a pretty intimate story. Yeah, and it was kind of deep. I really think obviously you had Caesar who you're rooting for in the first one, but what this could lead to for the human race. You know what I mean? So it's it's an interesting dynamic where it's he's not a bad guy, but you almost don't want to root for him because it doesn't work out well for the humans. And and there are good humans as well in that story. You know what I mean? They're bad humans, but they're good humans. And I think it's such a great film.
The first film's an emotional film with the stuff that James Franco is going through with his dad, John Lithgow, and the whole how Caesar comes about is that cure for Alzheimer's. So it is an intimate story, and I didn't expect that seeing the Planet of the Apes movie the first time.
I just watched it the other night for the first time.
Really?
I had never seen it before. I had seen Planet of the Apes, the original, and I'd seen the Tim Burton remake. I've never seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes before, but we watched it the other night, and I would easily give it a grade and a half. Yeah. Really, really enjoyed the movie, and Brad, you're right that there were action scenes in this film. There were horror elements in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. You had some really good drama. You had the relationship between James Franco's character and trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's to help his father, plus his relationship with Caesar as it developed. And I thought that Rise of the Planet of the Apes worked so well because every 15 or 20 minutes in that movie, you were seeing something new.
Yeah.
You really were kind of having this experience of wonderment. One, not only were the motion capture special effects fantastic, but you really were seeing oh my gosh, now they can do this, now they can do that, now here's a whole group. And it really kept building and introducing something new into the mix, like I said, about every 15 or 20 minutes.
And it culminates in that disease spreading and kind of dwindling the human race. And where the apes, when we get to the second one, the apes haven't took over, they're kind of doing their own thing, but we know what this is leading to, right? Mm-hmm. And here's what I'll say about this film. And
the Dawn.
The new film, the one we just saw, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And the last movie I saw in theaters before this was Transformers: Age of Extinction. I'm sitting here thinking about these two franchises for a minute. We have the apes in these movies, and we have the Transformers in those movies. With this property, I don't know whether it's Fox, whether they just have so much faith in Andy Serkis, whether it's the director, Matt Reeves, but even so, this one, more so than the first one, guess who's center stage? Caesar and the apes. They're not trying to focus on the humans. They use the humans as plot devices for the apes. And I think it was, it's kind of risk-taking when you're looking at mocap apes for most of the film, and I loved it.
And I was impressed by how well they managed to do things that helped you distinguish the differences between... I mean, if you're looking at it from just a second, it was hard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they made sure, like, whether it was some kind of body paint that one of the apes was wearing, or the species of
the ape, the different color of the hair,
the
scars
and things. Like, they really...
Caesar's son with the wound
has a very
arm.
prominent scar, so you look for a second, and you're like, yep, that's Caesar's son.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a really good job of making sure you could easily distinguish each ape as well.
And just to see where we have come since the first film, where the apes, I guess I didn't get what I expected going into this film. I'll say this franchise surprised me again, because I hear the title, I see the trailers, and I'm thinking, okay, this is where the apes are going to come in here and wipe the human race out and pave the way for truly a planet of the apes to rule the earth. Mm-hmm. And it's not what we got. We saw two split kind of factions within the ape community. And I don't want to get too much into that. I guess that's kind of spoilerific just a little bit. I definitely want to talk about that in spoilers. But I'll just say this. To see, I know how great of a mocap guy Andy Serkis is, and obviously Gollum and so many things he's done. Mm-hmm. But I truly didn't realize it until I saw that first Planet of the Apes film. And I watched a lot. I did actually watch a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff on that Blu-ray. And his facial expressions, how he conveys, like, emotion.
Yeah.
Just different emotions, happiness, sadness, anger. Just to see that was pretty astounding. And, there's just not too much bad you can say about this movie. Great action set pieces. Is it action-packed? No.
Yeah.
No, it is well timed. I guess maybe you could argue.
It's a lot more action-packed than the first one.
Yeah, it definitely
is a lot more action-packed.
But not like in a, I don't want to say dumb kind of way, but I would call it an action movie. Honestly, I would put it into that category, but it's not like typical action affair, I guess. Yeah. It's kind of action in almost the same way as like a Lord of the Rings movie, where it's like you have these specific battles almost that mean something to the plot,
Something about it to me, maybe it was the tone or the tone of the movie or the way it was filmed, sort of reminded me of The Walking Dead at times.
Yeah, it did have that feel.
It had that very post-apocalyptic feel to it.
It was the look, kind of that pastel type filmography to it, cinematography to it.
Yeah, and it had, a lot of survival element and stuff.
Heading into this weekend, one of the things that was going to be interesting was to see how much money the Apes could bring in at the box office, because it had been it's been a down summer at the box office. Only Transformers has grossed $100 million this year.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I really think that a lot of the movie... Now, I am surprised that, Spider-Man did not hit that?
Spider-Man was bad. It made $90 million something its opening weekend, but...
The first one didn't make that much money either, though.
This is Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the lowest grossing Spider-Man to date.
Gotcha.
Wow.
All the Raimi films and the web films.
That's that's really shocking.
No pun intended.
I'm surprised that X-Men did not do apparently as well.
It was $90 million something like this. They're all
kind of
close to that $100 million.
But last year we had quite a few movies with really big openings.
Yeah.
And I think we had a lot of smaller movies last year that did really, really, really good. I don't think anybody thought The Conjuring was going to do as well as it did last year. I don't think anybody thought The Heat with Sandra Bullock was going to do as well as it did last year. And I think The Purge was one that really sort of took on a life of its own as well.
Yeah.
Think about Universal devoted their whole Halloween thing at Universal Studios, The Purge. And so this year, I'm trying to think what, any of those kind of smaller movies that are really
The Fault in Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars was the only one that I could think of that was kind of a smaller, quieter film that really, really took off. Personally, to me, it seems like a lot of the movies that had that potential to have. Of course, I'm shocked that Spider-Man and X-Men haven't really hit that, and Godzilla, but I really thought Guardians of the Galaxy and Ninja Turtles were ones that, if they were hitting earlier in the summer, that they could have just, knocked things out of the park, but we're getting them in August, so maybe they're...
We'll see how well that Guardians does versus Ninja Turtles, but I think it probably just... it could have fared better had it been released earlier. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be a movie, like we've said, that's going to have a lot of word of mouth to it, and people are going to go back and see it. That probably could have helped it to release it earlier, not have that very popular competition.
Exactly.
I don't want to get off Apes too much here, but I want to talk about Guardians for a sec since we're on this topic. That they showed about 15 minutes, 13 minutes of the movie recently, and they said there were some...
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it.
Me
No. I'm sure it
it.
leaked on YouTube, but they actually screened this for audiences.
Yeah.
And at a screening, and they said critics who had attended some of these screenings,
Cried.
I know Jermaine Lucier at Slash Film was saying that there was some cheering, there was some clapping, he said, but there was a lot of confusion, and some people got up and walked out.
Who would get it out and walk out 15 minutes of a film?
They said that it was very... He kind of...
Who has something better to do with their time than not finish 15 minutes of film?
Well, if you're watching 15 minutes of a movie, what are you watching? You don't know. I mean...
I guess his point was
the beginning of
the
the film?
footage was a bit off-putting. It was like a 10-minute scene in a film and then like a 2-minute kind of sizzle reel with different things from the film. But we'll just wait and see.
I would say any good movie, you show somebody 15 minutes and there's going to be confusion.
Let's get back to Apes. Apes made $73 million this weekend, $27 million Friday. That's good for this franchise. Yeah. This isn't Spider-Man. It isn't Transformers. It isn't Ninja Turtles, Marvel. And I'm impressed with this box office haul that it made. I mean, that's not that bad for this film. I know it's a sequel and everything.
I think one things I will say this year is I think other than, I know you guys didn't care for Transformers and I didn't see it, but I don't think there's been any really bad any of these big budget movies have been really bad this year. There's not been
just
one
Transformers.
Yeah, just
and that's the one that made
I didn't
money.
really care for Spider-Man, but I can't say it was atrocious.
It was decent.
I think I've generally liked everything. Transformers I didn't think was that bad. Even though I've denounced the entire franchise based on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think probably the most disappointing film for me so far this year has been Neighbors, because it just...
Oh, that's true.
It just...
I know you mentioned
most
that.
of the best jokes were in the trailer. It wasn't necessarily...
It wasn't
bad either.
Well,
so
this summer to me is kind of a weird summer. It seems a bit muddled. And I say, out of all the films I've seen, I enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man 2, but only X-Men Days of Future Past and this, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, have separated themselves from the pack as far as those are movies I'll go back and watch again. Yeah. I tremendously enjoyed them. I want to own them on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't know that I've had one big summer film yet that I've really just... Days of Future Past...
Not even Dawn?
Not even Dawn. Days of Future Past is probably only one that I was really, really, really... pumped about, and that's the podcast I missed.
I thought you're sitting here playing with Guardians of the Galaxy toys. The anticipation has just made everything lower in his eyes.
We'll see.
He cannot enjoy anything until this film comes out.
We want to talk more Apes, more Caesar, more Koba, so let's go ahead and swing the reel forward to spoilers. Kind of to really get into the meat of this film, we needed to get the spoilers. So it's really not about the humans. The humans kind of play second fiddle. We see Gary Oldman there. He's not
even the most pronounced human in this film.
He's in RoboCop more than this.
Yeah, Gary Oldman has a pretty small
effective role as Gary Oldman can do. But yeah.
Yes. But it's mainly about the apes kind of... It's apes and humans, and how can the apes live alongside with the humans?
Well, it's just an evolution of their society as a whole. You know what I mean? It's kind of like their first test. Like they basically, since this disease has been taking over the humans decimating the population. Humans have had much worse things to take care of, and the apes have been able to kind of do their own thing and lived in like harmony. You know what I mean? Where all the apes are family, and this is kind of like the first test of that.
Yeah, and Caesar in this, he's kind of with his relationship with James Franco from the first film, he's kind of a pro-human advocate, where you have these other apes like Koba, who the only thing they know about humans is experimentation.
Right.
So basically, the film climaxes to the point of, all right, one set of apes, or at least one leader of the apes, Koba, wants to rid the humans and take over. And we have Caesar, who wants to just kind of keep peace, keep his society going, worry about the lives of the apes. And it results in Koba shooting Caesar and then leading an all-out attack on the humans in San Francisco. And that scene where Caesar got shot, that shocked me.
Yeah, I think I said something in the theater.
Yeah.
I was like,
he cried out loud. He's like, no!
I did say something like,
you did say something like that.
Not Caesar or something. I was a little upset.
You're going to kill the most beloved character in this whole franchise in Caesar. And we thought he was dead and it was effective, but of course he wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a major problem. It worked within the story. And we got to see Caesar and his son work to kind of, take down Koba. But, man, I will tell you, that scene when they're up on that tower in San Francisco, when Caesar confronts Koba, and they have that final fight.
That was great.
I think that's my favorite action scene of this whole year. So far, and there's been some pretty good ones. I mean,
pretty good.
I love the scene with. I guess it wasn't really much of an action scene with Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, where he breaks Magneto out. Love that scene, but there was just something about that, just to see those two confront each other, and it was a lot of stakes at that point, and just very enjoyable. A
lot of heart in that.
A lot of heart and stakes.
So. Yeah,
but I mean, it was a cool scene, especially you got to see when the humans attempted to blow it up, the tower, and basically Caesar just stopped the fight and just started helping his fellow apes and stuff, and Koba was still, not having it.
We ain't having that.
Yeah,
so,
and they had this kind of code they live by: ape, not kill ape.
Yeah,
and when he's got Koba there, Koba repeats that once Caesar's kind of finished him off, and he said, ape, or something like that.
It's so funny, though, because I'm sitting there seeing that, he said that to him, and I was just like, oh, it's a slippery slope. All of a sudden, he could denounce apes. It's a bad precedent. But, I mean, it was a really effective moment.
It was cool to see him. They gave this away in the trailer, but after Caesar's shot, the humans kind of help him heal. They take him back to his house where he was with John Lithgow and James Franco in the first film, and to see him go back there, go to his room, and apparently Caesar has kind of this call sign, this logo.
Well, I mean, he used it in the first one, too.
And which was from the window.
The window, yeah.
Yeah,
this window that was in his room that he always looked out on.
Yeah.
Looked outside the house through. Very, very distinctive window.
Yeah, kind of that diamond-looking sign.
Yeah.
And when they go to free his... Because what happens is Koba kind of locks up all the apes that were too loyal to Caesar during the final run on San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they go in there, Caesar and his son and the humans, and they're going to break these apes out, which is including the big one, Maurice. And, Caesar draws, or his son does. I think it's Caesar draws his little logo on the bus window.
I think it's
his
son
him.
that did it, yeah.
That was so cool when he drew that little logo.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this character. I know it's an ape. I know it's Andy Serkis. But me on the podcast don't know. I've kind of really cut back on collecting and buying things since we're saving to get a house. But I really want that NECA Caesar figure.
Epic Review is getting a house. You heard it here first.
If they made a collection of mini-mates of these characters, like his son and the Koba and stuff, I'd be hard-pressed not to get this,
man. The NECA figures.
The NECA figures are
really
they're
nice.
distinctive. Like, you can tell it's Koba and Caesar and Maurice. That's the only three they make right now.
I do wish, this film is so good because I liked in the first film how they released Koba, and he kind of he was like aggressive and stuff, but he just kind of fell in with the rest of the apes, and he wasn't like crazy, like a homicidal maniac or anything. And in this film, I kind of liked at the beginning where he's like, he had this hard time, but he was still following Caesar. I like the idea that he could have lived this tortured life so different from Caesar's and turned out okay. But of course he didn't, and it's understandable. It's almost you almost feel for Koba, even though obviously he shot Caesar and is like doing some bad things. Like there's humans and apes both that you can kind of see both sides. You know what I mean? Because the humans are in conflict with one another, how to deal with the apes, and you see both sides. You understand that some of them are afraid, and rightly so, of these apes, and you see why some of these apes are rightly afraid of the humans. I think just with the first film, like it has a surprising amount of depth to it that it's hard. When I was up there, when you're up there watching Caesar and Koba fight, you know what I mean? And it's like you realize that Koba's probably going to die here. Like Caesar's going to have no other choice. You almost feel bad for Koba because he has been tortured his entire life. You think of what Caesar's mother went through. She was captured in the jungles and stuff. And I mean, Caesar was taken out of that lab when he was a baby. He doesn't understand that really. I mean, he understands it, but he never experienced that.
And even with Maurice, I mean, the first movie you find out he was a circus animal. Yeah. So he didn't have like the same being experimented on.
Right. Yeah.
But he doesn't have
smart.
Yeah, he's smart, but he doesn't have the same level of
intelligence that they do.
And he's also
even the chimp sanctuary wasn't as bad as that. The lab is to the chimps.
So,
apes, whatever.
I thought there were some really. I mean, just the interesting way that they approach the relations in this movie between having the apes and the people. And I mean, you saw people from all how many different backgrounds, and you saw the apes from different backgrounds, and how everybody came from different places and had to figure out working together or not working together, what was better. I mean, it was a very complex study on sort of relationships between people with very differing viewpoints.
He talked about depth, and you can look at a lot of things in this film, and you can go to it and think it's just a summer blockbuster, Planet of the Apes, which take it that way if you will, or you can begin, as we kind of do sometimes, to read in more into these movies, and there's so much you can read into this, just two different people. Oh, I guess the apes aren't people. You have the apes and the humans, who don't get along, who can't see each other's side, but there's always these kind of transcendent figures who can see the other sides, whether it be race relations, whether it be, gay rights, whether it be liberal, conservative, just two different factions having to come together and, overcome their differences. You can look at it that way. I know you can look at a lot of films that way. But I want to get your opinion. I thought it was a very powerful scene. The scene where the one gentleman sneaks a gun in when he was told, Caesar said no guns. Yeah. And Caesar approaches him, and, the other apes are going crazy. And they're coming to try to get the power back on in San Francisco because there's a generator there that they need to get running, but it's in the apes' territory. So that's how the humans and apes first interact. And Caesar's like, all right, you can come work on it, but no guns. And, of course, one of the idiot humans, guy from Fringe, brings a gun in. And when he takes that gun from him, and I know he threw it in the river, but did he unloaded it? Did he dismantle it?
First of all, he's ready to use it.
Yeah.
And then he was
Caesar was?
Yeah.
Oh,
Caesar, he even cocked it, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, but eventually he just tossed it in. They dismantled the other guns, though.
That was powerful imagery.
Yeah. Well, especially he started, the one guy swatting his child away and stuff. I think, you know what I mean? It's just...
I'm kind of worried. At first, I was kind of thinking, is he trying to, keep the child safe? Or then I'm like, oh, yeah, but he doesn't want to know if he's got the gun either. Yeah. Because he's afraid the little, monkey kid was going to...
I think it was both. I really think, you don't want... you don't want this little baby monkey to play with a shotgun, this loaded shotgun. So I think it was both... I believe it was implied the character hid the gun, but I don't necessarily even think that... it is possible it could have been there by accident, and he just saw him playing with it. But, I don't know. I don't think he meant to, harm the kid necessarily,
sure.
But he definitely had a very low opinion of these
Very subtle gun control message. You think?
No, I don't think so.
For me, it was, but that's just what I read into it.
Why would you want your opponents to have weapons? Such advanced weaponry than you. Yeah. The apes have spears and slings.
And so I thought this was an interesting... I thought
crazy. What
was interesting was sort of the movie talking about technology. There's a scene where when the power finally gets on, when the power finally gets turned on, that people are able to listen to music again. People are able to...
just have the
lights in a party, And you see this scene where Gary Oldman's character turns on like an iPad, a tablet of some kind.
Yeah.
And is able to look at pictures of his family that he hasn't been able to see. And it really does seem to really kind of drive home this idea about how invested we are in technology. That
it does.
He didn't have these pictures. He didn't have... It was interesting that the pictures of Caesar and James Franco were actual pictures, but for Gary Oldman's family, they were only existed digitally, and until the power was back on, he couldn't look at those pictures
How
again.
far in the future is this, technically, from the first film?
I think the last movie was supposed to take place... I know there's a 5-year gap in the last movie at one point, because everything goes down when Caesar's 5 years old.
Yeah.
And this takes 10 years later. I don't know that they gave it a specific date.
It's not too far in the future.
It's
obviously.
not real time.
I would say maybe
since,
2020.
2011.
My guess is 2023, because I kind of thought... Well,
There's some newspapers in the first one. I bet you there's a date you can get in the
you
first
can look
one.
at them.
I'm not sure. I mean, did they have a... Was there a definite this many years later at the beginning of this?
I don't think
At the beginning
so,
of this
I
one,
believe so.
Yeah.
it's been 10 years.
10 years?
It's been 10 years since the virus hit at the end of the first film. So, and then during the first movie, Caesar becomes... I think it's 5 years from the beginning of the movie till the end of the movie.
Yeah, so one of my favorite movies of the summer, I love that Jerry brought up that technology aspect. It was just something that we were talking about. I could not get the Wi-Fi to connect on the laptop today before we started the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, we're so reliant on the internet. And I've been staying at my grandparents' helping them out lately, and they don't have internet. And I feel like so helpless over there without internet. And when Jerry just kind of brought that up, I wasn't even putting two and two together when I was watching it. But I'm like, oh my God, we are just so reliant on technology. And it's amazing because all of us are in our later part of our 20s. And we can remember a part.
Some of us are in our earlier part of our 30s.
Well, some of us are in our earlier part of our 30s. But we can remember a time when we didn't have a computer at home or we didn't have the internet. And just to think, like, where we're at now, don't get me wrong, it's good in so many ways. It's convenient. I'll obviously utilize the internet. We have a website.
If you're listening to this podcast, you're utilizing the internet.
Yeah.
But there is kind of something to be said sometimes. I know there'll be some people who will give up their smartphone just for a week, or there's something to be said about not being connected all the time. And Jerry and I, ironically enough, don't own smartphones.
Do not own a smartphone.
I don't know. We are very reliant on technology. But let's go ahead. We're going to keep this podcast short. We're about an hour now. Let's go ahead and give our rating.
I just want to say, I just thought about that real quick. I think it's interesting, like, thinking back on it. Like, Coe was the one that spread this virus to the humans in the first place.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it, but he's the one that they were testing on. He's the one that they were testing on, and he got loose and knocked that one guy's mask off, and that's what infected the humans to begin with. It was actually Kobo who spread this virus to begin with. But I think it's kind of interesting. He didn't do it on purpose. He was still, playing monkey at that point. But it just dawned on me while we were talking, and no pun intended. And I just thought it was an interesting thing to point out. I like how these films, even
Did you rewatch the first one right before you saw this one?
Yeah, like a week ago. The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes feels like it feels like a true sequel, but a different movie at the same time. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting how well they just play. I mean, you could watch these back to back and be good to go. You know what I mean? Like it's not like some sequels where this story seems to just flow right into the sequel. I mean.
So what do you think the third... Let's assume this is a trilogy. I mean, I hadn't heard anything about a third part, but it did well this weekend. They probably will make a third one. So what's next for this franchise? Caesar hints at war.
Yeah, we've seen people use... I mean, we've seen the apes use
weapons,
machine guns and stuff now, and drive it... Well, they didn't really drive the armored vehicle, but they were manning the turret at least.
Yeah.
We've seen them, engage in war. We've seen them riding horses. So I think they're really leading it to the point where we've seen more talking. The first movie you hear just like when he says like one or two words, you're shocked. This movie, there's a lot more dialogue.
But not over the top. The apes aren't like
I could see the next film taking place a few years down the line where more of these genetically enhanced apes have had the chance to interbreed with others,
Yeah.
that you develop this they reach this point where they're more similar to the very human-like, very intelligent apes of the original films.
Do you think
with All Out War?
Do you think Caesar might be in the third one, or maybe his son will take over?
I would think maybe his son being like a high leader, but an older ape at this point, and having a new generation that sort of, I could even see with this franchise them having like factions of apes, like some apes who kind of,
maybe there's gonna be old Koba followers.
Yeah, these who revere Koba and those who revere Caesar, and then you have humans as well, and
kind of caught in the middle.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I think Caesar will be around at least one more film. It'll be Andy Serkis, Caesar, even if he dies.
And the first movie was about Caesar. This one is really about Caesar as well.
So finish off the trilogy. I know it's an ape, but it's a full fleshed out character.
Did they
by
ever
this
give
point.
Caesar's son a name?
That's what I kept thinking throughout the film.
I was waiting for them
to him as his son.
I was waiting for them to give him a name that was, similar to. I mean, because Caesar's a
James.
Caesar's a character from the 5th Planet of the Apes movie, Battle for Planet of the Apes.
Oh, is he?
I think. Huh. Yeah, I mean the name Caesar, but like a lot of the apes were sort of like there was Cornelia in the first movie, and of course you have you have Cornelius in the original Planet of the Apes, and so you have people. You have a lot of throwbacks to those films.
Yeah, a lot of the newer apes, I feel like what the one was again was Ash the son or was Ash?
No,
the
Ash
dad?
is the son.
Ash is the son of Rocket.
Yeah.
Right, as I'm saying, yeah.
Rocket was one of the apes from Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Right. So Ash, I mean, I don't know. I was trying to base that based on just trying to see what the apes are naming themselves.
Yeah.
Because obviously Koba and Caesar and all that were named.
Well,
by
I was wondering if they
humans.
would do something like, "Hey, you're Zaius," or something, because Dr. Zaius was one of the.
I'm kind of glad they haven't shoehorned too much of that in there. The first one had like the spaceship taking off and stuff, but I'm really glad they haven't. I don't feel like it's too referential. It's like its own film.
Yeah, and I enjoy that about it. It's its own film. It's a completely different animal from the original franchise. That's not a knock on the original franchise.
Right,
it's just very different.
Yeah.
I mean, the original movies get to some weird places, too.
Yeah, it's later films. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they blow up the Earth at one point, and, I mean, spoiler for a movie from 1969 or 70, but, mutants underground, and, like, they come back to modern-day D.C., and...
Isn't New York in there at one point?
Yeah,
New York at one point,
they meet with like the science advisor of the White House and these apes and stuff. I mean, so
it would be easy. One thing I'm sitting here watching this, I'm thinking about all these end of the world, post-apocalyptic films, and it would be so easy for this to get in like outrageous, like Roland Emmerich territory. You know, kind of over the top world-ending scenarios, and we never get there. It's always very tempered. Settled. I like the tone, a very even flow and pacing to these films.
Well, and I like that this movie really and truly, you don't have a clear cut, this side should win. I mean, as awkward as that sounds, saying, you don't necessarily...
It's almost like, instead of having like, apes versus humans.
Apes
it's almost
bad,
like,
humans good.
It's almost like this philosophies that you're rooting for.
Like you're really wanting them to come to some sort of compromise.
Yeah.
You're really wanting to see the best of the humans and the best of the apes work something out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing to take away.
Yep.
Rather than just having it always be about one side versus one. Why can't it be, the best peacemakers of one side and the peacemakers of another come together and, throw out the people who just want to genocide.
And that's not a feeling you get in many films. It's usually like I'm rooting with one side or the other win, But at this, you're rooting for compromise almost.
And even like I said, like Koba, they've had Koba do some pretty bad stuff, more so than any of like the war-mongering humans, except for like a couple of soldiers here or there or something. But you really, even the people who are on the bad side, if you will, the war side, you can understand why they feel like this is the right course of action. So... yeah, I mean it's good, man. I love this film.
Brad, how would you rate this film?
It's my favorite movie of the summer. One of my favorite movies of this year. I had to go back and look at what I saw earlier in the year before summer, but I give it a confirmed epic. I absolutely loved it. I'd give the first one an epic when we went and saw that. So I think this franchise is 2 for 2 for me. Epic.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew?
I'd also give it an epic. It's like I said, it's an easy film to just watch. You know what I mean? Like it's not too complicated, but it has depth to it. Like there's so much, and it's just so good. The story is good, the acting's good, the plot's good. Like it's a great film. It's easily the best film I've seen this summer. I also give it confirmed epic.
All right. So I've really been going back and forth. I would have given the first film a grade and a half. You know, really liked it.
Real quick, Andrew, what would you give the first film?
Grade and a half to epic.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry. I was just curious.
So I've really been going back and forth on this movie of what I thought, and I think ultimately I really debated between giving it a good and a half and a great, and I think I'm going with a great. So I think I'm going with a great here. One of the things, and I mean, it's okay to disagree with it, but
we will.
One of the things I really thought was that this movie really was. It is what it is. It doesn't change as it goes. It doesn't really have anything new. I mean, you have some changes in relationships, but for a sci-fi movie, I thought that overall it kind of stayed pretty stagnant throughout. Don't necessarily mean that in a negative way, but like I said, with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, there was always something new. There was always something changing and developing and moving. And this movie did not have that. The apes are doing pretty much the exact same things in the beginning, other than the fact when they go to war at one point. And that was a pretty big change.
And the movie ends with war, too.
Yeah. So I would give it a great. I would give it a great, and it's definitely one of my favorite movies I've seen this summer. I don't like it as well as the first one, because I thought the first one really mixed a lot of different emotions, a lot of different genres, a lot of different, really good character studies together. But, I mean, this is definitely a worthy sequel.
It's hard-pressed for me to like this. I think I do like the first one a bit better. I agree. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking or transcending about this film. It's almost kind of like The Conjuring last year didn't do anything really different. It just hit every beat, and it was very well paced and did everything very well. And that's kind of how I feel about this movie. I didn't see anything too different, groundbreaking. It's not going in my top 25 favorite movies of all time. But, I mean, it's epic, man. Like, I just didn't think they missed a beat,
I like the second one better. Like, I don't think it's a big jump. You know what I mean? Like, they're both really good. I think I like the second one better, though.
And this is definitely one where I think once again, just the type of movie somebody prefers.
It's hard. I mean, number one is so good.
They're so similar in a lot of ways, but they're so different.
Right?
The type of movie
they really are. One's almost a drama. There's really not that much action in the first one, and this one, even though it's not action, there's still plenty of plot, I guess, for lack of a better word. But it's obviously it's more action packed than the first one. It's so good.
I agree. All right, good. So you guys, we'll wrap this up. Anything else you want to say?
We do have a question for this week.
Okay.
So, all right. So this is a question that we have that's come in, and the question is,
who's this in from?
This is from Art Vandelay from Winnipeg. So, and the question is there any movie character, cartoon character, comic character, or other character that you would love to own an action figure of that doesn't exist?
That doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's like the figure of this character doesn't exist?
I think what they're asking is there any action figure like based on a like a movie character, like they've never made never made this character as a toy before.
I got one.
Okay.
One character that's really been missing. I collect Hot Toys, Nolan Batman stuff, And we thought it was going to be a Toy Fair exclusive this year. It was rumored would be the Liam Neeson Ra's al Ghul and the Hot Toys line.
Okay.
And that's the only... They've done Scarecrow and Joker, Bane,
and
Catwoman.
Mattel did him in the Dark Knight Rises line, but not in that 1/6 scale.
Yeah, so mine would be a Hot Toys Ra's al Ghul based on Liam Neeson. So there is action figure of him, but not the ones that I collect.
Okay,
so I guess
that's a good answer. Andrew, is there any just a character that you just would love to have a mini made or a toy of, or something that you've always wanted?
Yeah, I can't really think of anything, honestly. Like a lot of the characters I like are obviously have toys based off them. Even a character I can think of like Sam from Trick or Treat or something has plenty of figures about him. I really am hard. I'm trying to think of maybe a book or something, but even then, I really can't think of anything.
Batman 66 would have been this for a lot of people before the license was...
before everybody's been doing that. Well,
yeah.
So, I mean, I had this question for a while, so I was able to come up with 3 that I really, really, really have wanted for a long time. The number one for me is, and we kind of referenced it earlier, I have always wanted an action figure based on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie of Raphael in the trench coat with the hat. Like when he goes out and sees critters, and he with the sai, that he has the sai in his belt, and he can kind of like pull the jacket aside. Like, I would love it if Playmates would release the TMNT Classic Raphael figure with a jacket and a hat, and able to put the sais in the belt. That is like my dream toy. The other 2 for me was are y'all familiar with the Mighty Boosh? It's a kind of a British, almost like a surrealist.
I'm not.
Doctor Who. Okay,
it was on Cartoon
they used to show it on Cartoon Network. For a few years. It was originally on BBC 2. There's a character called Old Greg that's like this weird, creepy sea creature person. And
something.
I would freaking love an Old Greg figure, man. I love Old Greg. And I would love an action figure like that. I always wanted Character Options, who did the Doctor Who toys. I would love to see them do a Mighty Boosh line. And the last one was Illumina from Masters of the Universe. She's like a really super obscure character. She only ever appeared in one advertisement for the 2000 comic book series.
I have 2 more.
Okay,
going back to Hot Toys, I would love them to do like 1990 Ninja Turtles figures from the movie.
Wow, man.
What I just have to get if Hot Toys did it, if they did a Green Ranger with like a Jason David Frank head sculpt with it, and like the Sword of Darkness and the Dragon Dagger. Hot Toys did that.
And then a 2-scale Dragon's Orf.
Yeah, it would be like a grand,
like a whole room of your house for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have that. And there's one I want Sideshow Collectibles to do. I have a couple of Star Wars premium format figures.
Yeah,
and they've done Emperor Palpatine. But I would like them to do a 1/4 scale premium format of Palpatine at the end of Revenge of the Sith when he has the red robe, like right when he kind of takes over.
The red robe look is really good.
I would like that. But
I guess the one I'm surprised I left off my list was an Yvonne Craig Batgirl. I mean, if DC Collectibles did it, or if Mattel did it at some point, or if Hot Toys, or all of them. So
Hot Toys will probably get there.
That'll be my second Hot Toy.
Kind of in line with what you guys are saying. If we're going to just do people who do have figures, but alternate kind of takes on them.
Well, nobody has the Yvonne Craig Batgirl yet.
Sure, the Mighty Boosh or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or the Old Greg. But I mean, and kind of like he's saying like Hot Toys of this, and you're saying this particular.
Well, there's been nobody's done an Old Greg. So.
No, I'm saying that's kind of that one exception. But I mean, like I said earlier, if they made a Planet of the Apes, the Mini-Mates set from like this movie or whatever, I'd be hard pressed not to get that. And one thing I know, like, I don't collect action figures really. I have very few.
Smart man.
I have very few
boring,
stuff
man.
like that. The one property I've always said if Mini-Mates get this, I'm gonna start collecting it. Would be like old school Power Rangers. If Mini-Mates did like original, like a set of like original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with helmets that could be removed or alternate heads or something.
Oh my gosh,
man,
those would be really
That
cool.
will
It would be
probably
awesome.
happen eventually.
I hope so.
I don't know,
It's
man.
been licensed.
When the movie comes
The
out,
movie
man.
could have them, but
Oh.
you'd probably get the movie characters. You'd have to see.
If they can do the original show as well too, and especially you throw some putties and monsters
Yeah,
in it, I
Mini-Mates
would
tends to
collect
get
those.
stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
Mini-Mates got Thundercats, and Bandai had the Thundercats toy license. But
And, I
they
mean,
did
Mighty Morphin
Thundercats
gets, even old school Mighty Morphin, it gets licensed out. There was like the
It does.
Mighty
Yeah.
Mugs or whatever, I think, or the Pop Vinyl, I
The
think.
Pop Vinyls,
Pop Vinyl.
yeah, Pop Vinyls.
So,
Did any of you guys, speaking of Power Rangers collectibles, Bandai revealed San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, that new Legacy Dragon Dagger. Have any of y'all got a chance to see this thing?
the Dragon Dagger?
It's a new Legacy Dragon Dagger.
like
that they're
different than the
doing.
one that
Yeah,
was
I'm
out
gonna
a couple
pull it
months
up
ago.
real quick.
That's weird to do a new one. They just did one.
what's different about it?
You're about to see. Hold on, I'm pulling it
It
up.
has a metal blade.
I'm not too familiar with the first one, though. It turns into Saba, it transforms into
It
Saba.
actually
The
summons a
first
Dragon
one
Zord.
was the first one. Now it was just the regular Dragon Dagger, just kind of this metallic look.
You
just,
actually have to be able to play a flute.
just look really cool. It's kind of hard.
That would be
to-
pretty cool, though.
Here it is, guys. Hold on. Just very different. It's going to be 150 limited edition.
Wow.
It's $150.
I like the sheath, but I'm not so sure about all the gold on it. Is
it looks cool, but it's definitely an alternate take on
Pretty
it.
much just a reversal of it.
Right.
This will be something that like hardcore Green Ranger
cool
fans
looking,
are
though,
going to
yeah.
add
It
to their
doesn't- I
collection.
mean,
It feels like something that would be in modern day Power Rangers. Like Power Rangers nowadays, they always eventually get a different version of their suit. Almost like I forget what the term for it is, but it seems like something that maybe like alternate power. You know what I mean? Like maybe Green Ranger. I'm picturing now Green Ranger without the shield. Like he looks just like the other ones, and he has the dagger is his weapon. But then he gets like super powered with the shield and gets the special dagger. That'd be cool. You're welcome. New movie.
This is basically just the green and gold, pretty much, on this Dragon Dagger, and it's going to be limited to 1,000 pieces, and it'll probably be expensive on the aftermarket, I imagine.
Definitely.
All right. That's going to wrap up the 33rd edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. Remember, send any emails to thepicreview@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepicreview. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/thepicreview. Jerry Reed, where can we find your stuff?
As always, I try to put up one action figure review every weekday on thepicreview.com.
What about you, Andrew Stokes?
You can find my stuff at thepicreview.com. If you want to, you can go read my list of my top 10 most anticipated video games of 2013. So I am actually probably going to be getting an Xbox One here soon. So I'll actually be playing, modern games. So maybe a 2015 list will be in the works. You can also follow me on Twitter at CryJuggernaut, where I actually do tweet things from time to time nowadays. It's weird.
Do you have an
It's new.
awesome animal fact? Apes are primates.
Say, like they did. Some people don't know this. The difference between apes and monkeys are. And just stop the podcast right there. Just knock it off. I have nothing.
All right. So apes are primates. That'd be the
There you
awesome
go.
animal fact this week. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at the Real Brad Bell, REEL Brad Bell. And you can find me not as much probably in the next few weeks on the epicreview.com. Very busy, a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, you've been on there lately?
I took last week. I took last week off because I went to the beach, and then a lot of family things have kept me from being as active on there. But I do hope to remain active on Twitter, and definitely we're going to keep bringing the podcast to you. We may do one for the Purge Anarchy. That's not decided. We're definitely wanting to do Guardians and the new Ninja Turtles movie,
Yes.
for sure. Those
I
will
like
be
doing a purge, but yeah,
fun
we're
to
trying
talk
to time
about.
that out.
All right,
Got
so
things to do.
thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for clicking play. And until next time, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.